Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Hope you guys are keeping well. A little bit of an update video from me. Apologies for the last day or two and probably for the next day or so as well in regards to videos. I spoke about last week. I've moved house over the weekend and my Wi-Fi still isn't set up. So I'm at work at the moment doing this video, but there have been some really interesting pieces of news dropping over the last day or so in regards to Wolves. So let's get into it. As always, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have had confirmation that Matt Jackson has now become the new technical director at the football club. Of course, Matt Jackson has been in and around Wolverhampton Wanderers now for coming up to 5 years. Had a little stint out at Grasshoppers as well in between, but has worked closely with Scott Sellers, Matt Hobbs, and obviously more recently Domenico Tetti, and now moved up to the senior role. I know a lot of people are going to be frustrated by this. I think at the moment with the state that the club is in, on and off the pitch, it's very easy to nitpick and very easy to point a finger at things and be frustrated with everything that's going on at the club. I genuinely think Matt Jackson, the way that he helped the loan department a few years ago when he took on that role, left it in a pretty decent and a new setup as well, which he helped sort of create a new regime in that front. I think he's someone that is capable. It'll be interesting to see. I understand that Wolves are still looking for other senior people to join the club at the the higher levels. So it'll be interesting to see if anything does come to fruition sooner rather than later on that. And they will be looking for a new head of youth development. Jonathan Hunter-Barrett set to leave. He's joining Rangers, and a head of coaching for the youth level as well. So hopefully those sort of announcements will come sooner rather than later as well. A few different transfer updates, which I'll go on to in a minute. Obviously, at the moment, there's a lot of negativity still about the football club. I think everyone is entitled to be frustrated with what is going on at the moment. On the pitch, it's a disaster. And as positive as you guys know I can be, I want to be. It looks like the club, unfortunately, are only going one way at the moment. I really hope they can prove us all wrong and, we start to see some positive results starting preferably from Sunday at Villa Park. Of course, there are some articles still out there which are well worth reading, and the national media starting to realise the situation that Wolves are in at the moment. There is some rubbish still out there. I've seen a couple of articles and pieces over the last couple of days which are just sort of total scaremongering, really. They're bringing up, hypotheticals that I can guarantee will never happen, even with Fosun in charge. I think anyone that is labelling us the next Sheffield Wednesday, or they think we're going to get a double dip and go down to League One, I think that is, I can categorically say that will not happen. I'm very confident in that. But yeah, I think as the rumours that I'm about to mention to you now, we will need to start using our common sense a little bit and sort of channeling what sort of is realistic and what will or won't happen and what is absolute rubbish. And we just got to use our brains a little bit for that. And some of the articles, like I said, some of the stuff about the esports and stuff that's been doing the rounds and Wolves being asset stripped is in my opinion, Fosun are doing an awful job at the moment with what's going on the pitch, but asset stripping, it's total nonsense. I don't know where it's come from. So just to bear that in mind. But three rumours. Joao Gomes is the biggest one that's been coming out over the last couple of days or so. It's a little bit of a frustrating one, but again, an understandable one considering the circumstances that Wolves find themselves in at the moment. Manchester United, of course, went in and signed Matheus Cunha from us in the summer. Seems like they're going in for Joao Gomes now. There's been a few whispers of this over the last week or so. But some decent sources, including GE Globo, who were very hot on the Jean Arias news in the summer, are saying that Manchester United have intensified the talks to potentially sign Joao Gomes at the moment. Obviously, I'd assume they're talking to the agents and so on to find out what grounds they'd have to be at to find an agreement on the deal. 50 million euros, so around sort of 43 million pounds, I think, is the valuation that's going round at the moment. Again, difficult decision for Wolves because, of course, we all love Joao. We want to keep Joao Gomes at the football club. But come towards the summer, if Wolves are or when Wolves are relegated, the fee of value that we could demand for Joao Gomes is one, either considerably less, or two, he may have a relegation release clause, which again is much, much less than the 50 million euros. So it's probably a decision that has to be made closer to January. If we are 12, 15 points adrift, relegation looks likely. I think you probably have to cut your losses, let Joao go, cash in the money, and make possibly 20 million more than what you would make in the summer. It's a difficult decision. We don't want to make it. We shouldn't be in this position to start with. But also it gives Joao a great opportunity to potentially push, get some minutes at a slightly higher level and potentially have the chance to get into the World Cup with Manchester United as well. But as of right now, nothing too advanced, but definitely want to keep our eye on over the next few weeks or so. Lopez as well, another player which frustratingly has been underused so far at Wolves. Obviously not quite ready for consistent Premier League minutes. It'll be interesting to see if Rob Edwards gives him more opportunities than we saw Lopez get under Vitor Pereira. But reports in Spain today are suggesting that Celta Vigo, his former club, are keeping tabs on the situation. It was a situation in the summer that they didn't want to get into in regards to selling Lopez. There was a little bit of backlash from Celta Vigo fans about that deal. But they're keeping the tabs on the situation because if things don't improve and game time doesn't improve for Lopez, there is potentially the opportunity for him to move on, more than likely in a loan deal. Now, two things to that. Obviously, Celta Vigo want him on loan. Will Wolves let him go out on loan? I'm not so sure. And Celta Vigo would have to move on one of their players to allow Lopez to join their squad. Wolves will probably only even agree to this if, obviously, there's guaranteed minutes, which at the moment we don't know the case in that anyway. But again, another one to maybe look out for. And the one I'm moving on to now is a very, very interesting one. Wolves, according to reports in China, had to do some serious digging and serious translating on articles to get some information on this one. According to reports in China, Wolves are looking to sign Qingdao West Coast midfielder Xu Bin. 21-year-old Chinese defensive midfielder, has played for the China national team at youth level, more recently sort of the under-22, under-23 level. Played a decent amount of football in the Chinese Super League, thought to be one of the better talents there. But again, the Chinese Super League to the Premier League, especially when he's not been playing the Chinese national team, is a huge, huge step up. Now, it's said that he's all ready to travel to England. I think I saw a flight number. He flew to London either yesterday or today to sign for Wolves. Now, with the work permit situation, more than likely going to be going out on loan, so won't be at Wolves for the remainder of this season, I don't think. So potentially looking at, the reports were suggesting like championship level loan, but I don't know if the work permit rules are slightly different at that level. I'm not sure, or if not, obviously a move abroad. Some articles suggesting maybe out to Portugal, as we have seen with the likes of Joao, Chiquinho and so on in the summer. Maybe that is a similar move to someone like Tondea or Famalicão. You know, that looks potentially doable. But again, at Premier League level, is he going to cut the mustard? I don't think so. Potentially next season, if or when we do go down, maybe a squad option then. But it's weird. We haven't seen one of these for ages. This was like Fosun's little toy, wasn't it, when they first joined, nitpicking, you know, any Chinese talents within English academies. We signed Dong De-hee, Heyo Kawabi's obviously the Japanese one, which played for Grasshoppers, the more recent one. Ming Yang was it back in the day as well. There were loads of options, and none of them worked out. Heyo Kawabi we made a little bit of money on, but none of them worked out. But it's interesting that if this does come to fruition, they've sort of re-entered that sort of market anyway. But that is all for the news today, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. As always, hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll hopefully be back with more consistent and more regular uploads as and when. And of course, we'll have the Villa preview in the next few days as well. But as always, look after yourself, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.